Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and a really quick kind of interesting follow-up video to the video I did last week. So last week I did the review on the new ceramic Rolex stainless steel Daytona. Visited my friends at Bernard Watch. While I was there, they told me they'd recently taken a look at a replica Daytona that was stunningly accurate and quite scary to them. And they were happy to share some photos of it with me. And because of that, I'm able to actually make this video. So I'm really excited. I have some photographs of this replica Rolex that they examined. Of course, it was, assumed to be a real one. And as we look through these photos, the quality of the replica has come a long way. I've done some videos on replicas before. They've gotten a lot of views, not exactly great ratings. I know I could have done them better. So I know there's a lot of curiosity out there in the community about the quality of these replicas and what they look like. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and just jump this in. The quality of this replica is frightening. Alright guys, let's get started. So as a quick refresher, here's the genuine 116500 that I looked at when I was at Bernard recently. This is again the real one, so kind of take a quick look at it. This is again the real version of the replica we're going to examine. Now the first picture we're going to take a look at is of the dial. I apologize, these aren't my pictures. This isn't the greatest look at the dial, but this dial, the replica, actually does look at this glance to be pretty genuine. Typically the font on these is terrible enough you can tell instantly they're wrong, but in that shady picture you really don't see anything totally out of the norm there. So we're going to have to keep looking further at other details of the watch to get a sense of what else is going on with it. So the first thing we're going to do then is take off the bracelet on the watch. We'll take a look at the head and the bottom and the lug ends. So we of course can see the stainless steel, which you would see on Rolexes in general. Looking at this, it looks pretty neat. The first thing that I noticed though is it looks a little too clean to me. Rolex, the way they do theirs, and it's really kind of hard to explain, their font doesn't look quite, the depth of this font looks a little bit off to me, and the way the lines are cut looks a little bit off to me. But again, we'd have to keep looking because it's not that big of a red flag to me. It's as we keep moving on, we'll take a look at the model number as well. A Ridge Rolex design 116500. Again, that's pretty standard Rolex fare, and it looks reasonably well done, if not a little off. As we move along to the clasp, here's the clasp of the replica, and again, at this distant glance, it looks to be pretty good. Particularly take close attention to where the clasp itself meets into the fold over, and how those spring bars are set up, and also the spring bar at the top for the quick release. Again, at this quick glance, it looks pretty good. And here is an overlay of the real one that I looked at as well when I was with Bernard Watch. And again, sorry, this picture's a little foggy. I wasn't planning on using these video images later, but you can look at my review. Overall design looks very consistent. Again, nothing red flag on the replica versus the real one here. If we keep moving along, we'll take a look at the engraving, and I'll say this much: this is when I really start questioning this watch. As I mentioned when we looked at the dial, one of the things that Rolex I think is very special about is their font is very unique, and I can't tell you exactly why, but looking at the font of Rolex on this clasp right now, it just seems a little bit off, and it just strikes me as odd, and it would have been a red flag to me if I'd been looking at this watch immediately. Quick comparison, here is a genuine one. This is when I did my review. You can definitely see the flourishes around Rolex. They have a different finish on them. That's a giveaway. But just the font in general, there's something about Rolex font that, I don't know, it seems to me very easy to notice when somebody's not using real Rolex font. Sometimes it's because they screwed up. I mean, the A's on Rolex, for example, font are flat. They're not pointed, but there's just other things about their font that just have a unique feel to them that replicas, I've never seen one get right. So again, here's the real one. Just kind of, again, feel free to pause this video, scroll back and forth, and compare the images. Maybe you guys will notice details that I don't, but the clasp definitely strikes me as something a little bit off on the replica. Here's the case back of the Rolex replica. Rolex Geneva, Switzerland, stainless steel. This is typically what you'd see on the inside of a Rolex case back. I assume a lot of you guys probably haven't seen the inside of a Rolex, but they do look like this from this distance without being able to really read the font and this kind of blurriness of the image. I don't get any real red flags from this case back looking at it. Any watchmakers out there, if you guys see something that looks off to you, feel free to chime in below. It's only when I look at the movement itself that I'm really struck by the differences. Looking at this movement, I'd say the first thing that I notice is the red winding wheels, which is a Rolex trademark, are captured there. And that's something that I'm kind of stunned to see. I'm also looking at the overall layout of this movement, and any of you that have seen the inside of a real Rolex 4130 movement, there's a lot here that looks right. And actually the amount of detail that they went in terms of recreating that specific Rolex rotor, which is a Rolex trademark, and the way that they've done, again, the reversing wheels and the red jewels and the gold font that's inlaid into the stainless of the movement itself, a lot of it looks very good. However, I have to say that this immediately red flagged me because the quality of the finishing on this movement is crap. And I'm looking at just the way they did some of the finishing. It looks very rudimentary and rough. It looks like, honestly, like I tried to do it. If you've ever looked inside a real Rolex, they're not the most intricately, engraved movements out there, but they definitely are well finished. And looking at this one, I can definitely sell immediately that something's off. And so we'll just go ahead and really wrap up real quick here with what a genuine Rolex movement looks like. And again, as we kind of pander over this, just look at the perfect finishing of this movement. Everything looks flawless and very clear and well defined. Where if we, again, looked at that replica movement, you would see a bunch of, the details look to be okay, but there just seems to be this sloppiness that I really can't put words to. And unfortunately, because we're looking at the replica in such a way that we can't see the column wheel, for example, it's hard to compare all the details, but again, I would have gotten a red flag at the movement. But the fact that we had to get to the movement of this watch before we really could confirm that it was a replica is kind of a very scary thought. So fortunately, that's all the pictures I really have to share with you. I didn't get any more from Bernard, but really happy they shared these with me. Just kind of goes to show you that there's some really scary replicas out there. So with that quick little bit out of the way, let's go ahead and jump back. So guys, thanks again for tuning in. Really hope you enjoyed this. I apologize, I don't have this watch in person. I just have these photographs to share with you. Hopefully you guys still found this valuable. If so, and you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and also hit the bell icon so you guys can catch me every time I launch new videos. As always, guys, thanks so much. Thanks again for all of you that keep checking out my motivational speaking channel. Latest video will be posted somewhere around me right now. And with all that said, guys, again, thanks so much for tuning in. I'll catch you guys real soon on the next video.